Welcome back to the revolution. Mike, what a weekend we just had.
I know. Lindsey Graham's dead.
He sure is. I was trying to have a chill weekend, and he fucked that up.
Yeah, I was trying to have a chill weekend too, and then I fucking ran my mouth on Substack, and I guess I found my calling of writing obituaries for dead Republicans, but got a lot of attention, and then yeah.
Wait, are people upset? Were you part of the crew that people were upset, like, oh, they're tap dancing and celebrating someone's death? That crew?
I don't know if I was celebrating it. I just said that he should rest in piss, and that
the P stands for piss.
If there's a hell, that I hope he's in it. Yeah, I mean, my eulogy was in response to all these Democrats that I saw lionizing this guy as if he was some fucking hero of in American politics. The guy was a complete and total scumbag from start to finish. And so, I think that I wanted to signal the death of the putting the American politician on a pedestal. That's what I want. I want the American people to recognize that these are just average, everyday Americans, some of them sub fucking average, that are out here representing us, and stop lionizing them, stop giving them hero status simply for collecting enough votes and, doing a less than fucking great job representing you in government. And so hopefully the American people are done with that. The political elite are dead.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. So I woke up and I was like, I'm just going to have a chill day. Let me just look at my phone real quick, which is always last words. And I was like, oh, snap. Ran into the living room and was like, Lindsey Graham's dead. And my mom was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I was really excited to see that the average person was like, this dude. I was shocked to see some Democrats, some leaders speak about how wonderful he was to work with and how much he cared about his country. And of course, they're lionizing like the pre-Donald Trump Lindsey Graham, and in some ways, the Lindsey Graham who's polite to them to their face while voting away the rights of their constituents. And my whole thing is, if we don't call people out for their record in life and in death, they know that they can behave however they want. And then after they're dead, we just whitewash their legacy. And it's not okay. Like, this is why people don't correct themselves.
Absolutely. And that is, that's the history of the American politician, the political elite, is that they all cover for each other. This guy was a horrid human being and a horrid politician, representative. And all of a sudden he passes away, and rather than, either say nothing at all, they decide that they're going to, put him up again on the proverbial pedestal and make him out to be something that he was not, simply because, he was cordial with his fellow senators in the hallway. And I brought up, like, that minimizes the damage that he did to the everyday average American, many of which were his own constituents. And so, I would hope that that this spells the end for that, and that these politicians know that we're paying attention. Because listen, those were strong words. Saying that somebody should rest in piss, I don't think is something that the average American or just the average person is used to hearing coming from someone else in reference to someone's death.
It's new-ish.
That being said, 99% of the people that reached out to me, and there were thousands, were supportive and positive, and said the exact same things that I just said, which is it's fine time that we stopped putting these politicians up on pedestals and hailing them as something that they're not, especially when they were as failed and flawed and, quite frankly, evil as somebody like Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, and if his sister doesn't need time to mourn him and can just walk right into his place before even burying him, I think we the public can have something to say. So, and I'm sure our guests tonight are going to have plenty to say because they are a ton of fun. I've looked at their content online. I don't know if you all are familiar with them. If not, after this, I'm sure you're going to want to give them a follow. They are the Pretty Informed Girls, and they say you can interpret the name as you wish, which I absolutely love. And they say the things that need to be said. And apparently, as per usual, the right takes issue with that. But this is the other kind of refreshing voices that people need in news, the authenticity of actually telling it how it is, which is obviously sorely missed right now in the mainstream. So let's just bring them on. Jesse, Meg, welcome to the revolution.
Thanks for having us.
So glad you're here. And just walk us through really quick for our audience, for everybody. You weren't journalists. You weren't people who were like glued to the news. What happened? How did you go from just like, we're trying to live our lives to we're going to help interpret the news and bring it to people and then end up growing this huge following? What happened?
Well, I think we've both sort of always been relatively involved, not even involved in politics, but just invested and interested in politics in a very like layman's way. And as you know, Trump won, things start revving up. I think both of us got more like, hello, is anyone else seeing this? Is anyone else going to pay attention to this? But it can be so overwhelming and so just academic to try to pay attention to things. And it's too much for a lot of people. So I think then we were like, let's make this more accessible because everyone should care. It's like, it's cool to care.
So are you guys, I can't tell anymore. You're Gen Z?
I am.
Technically, I'm a cusper.
We're on the cusp. We're like, right, we're equally. I'm 98. You're 96?
96.
Yeah. So we're right in a sweet spot. We're like,
But I think that plays into it. Like we know how to communicate.
We had books and toys, and then we had cell phones in high school. So like, you know, but our cell phones still were like buttons before they were iPhones, or it was an iPhone 4. It at least was a brick before we had some sort of like media relevancy of actually consuming normal news.
So like a bridge. You're a bridge between generations. What inspired you though to take it so seriously that you wanted to grow a platform?
I think we were both pro-Palestinian activists very early on, which was not popular, especially within the Democratic Party. And it was incredibly difficult to find breaking news content around what was happening in Gaza. And that's kind of how we joined forces. The TikTok ban, I feel like that was forever ago when that was going down. We ended up taking on our own, you know, we were like, we got to move this to a platform that we know is not going anywhere. And Instagram is a beast. We knew it wasn't getting shut down. There's no way you're taking Mark Zuckerberg and Meta out of the world. So that's why we went over to Instagram and really just wanted a place where people could have like some sort of landing page. And it was important that we were able to talk about topics that we weren't hearing about, because we weren't hearing about these things. And as media started to evolve in the last year of the Trump administration, right? Like now every media conglomerate is becoming one and we're losing access to actual news. We decided that we needed to talk about the news because, I mean, literally, who's going to fucking talk about it if not the people?
And the reception that you've gotten, is it been mostly from like, because I'm assuming there's people who like already speak your language,
Sure.
Right? Has that broadened? Like, what's that been like? What's your interaction with your, I guess, the parasocial relationship that you have?
We have people from all over the place. We have people, I think we have some Gen X folk, right? All the way down to Gen Z, which actually you probably have all the way up like Boomer down to Gen Z, which is really interesting. I think one of the hardest things for us is that we're not a news outlet, and that the biggest parasocial I think, caveat that we have is that we're not a newsroom, and we still have jobs and we still have lives that we try to continue to do. And we can't consume everything and we can't talk about everything. You actually need time to like read and debrief shit. Like when a Supreme Court case comes out, that's a 70-page dissent you got to read. That does take a moment, and that's if you understand legalese, let alone having to read it 25 times, because who the hell knows what Sam Alito's talking about. So, I think people expect a lot from us that we're not able to put out. And that's going to be the way that media is moving forward. People can't expect news anymore from major outlets because they can't provide it because we're under authoritarianism. So,
Right.
really interesting dynamic that we're kind of working through now with telling news to people.
And our function is also as the bridge between the news and the people to give them that like access, but we're always telling them we can't be your only source. And unfortunately, I think that people are like, this is an easy way for me to digest the news because that is what we're providing. But we're also telling them you should still read the news in some capacity. We're giving you like the summarization, but go inform yourself still. And I think people forget that. And so they come and they're like, why haven't you talked about this? Or you should talk more in depth about this. And it's like, that's not our purpose, really.
I think it also, I mean, to me, that shows you that there are people out there that are thirsty for that information, and they want, like, I find like what you guys do like much more interesting and relatable because like we all have real jobs and we all have real lives, and we are kind of working through these stories and digesting them with like a real world perspective, as opposed to like, say, when I spent a couple of years working at CNN and I would hear all these pundits talk about, the news and everything. And it's like, what is your perspective? You're like an overpaid teleprompter reader that like hasn't, I don't know, like gone to a grocery store or filled up your own gas tank in freaking years. So like, how am I supposed to? And I think that's part of also why so many people are walking away from, especially like Gen Z, Gen X, even like my age bracket, millennials are like, we're like this. It's not relatable. These people don't understand what our lives are like. We're tired of being condescended to them or by them, and we're looking for normal people to give us stories that are important.
Yeah.
I think it is hard too for them because they're supposed to not have an opinion, right? Like they're supposed to be a teleprompter in a way, just deliver it to us straight. But that doesn't work in a post-Trump time. That doesn't work in this dystopian authoritarian time because it comes off as awkward and inauthentic. And it's like this, you look at them and you're like, this can't be what you're thinking when the camera's off. Like you can't possibly not have an opinion on what's happening right now. And if you don't, then you're just taking a paycheck and you're in many ways a monster because they're helping perpetuate that this is all normal. This is very normal.
That's why we need to talk. That's why we need to have like people who actually have opinions. Social media or media forms in general that are free from having a secular, like an institution that you're attached to, right? Where we actually we can just yell at the fucking screen. I can tell everyone whatever I want because I'm not working for CNN or CBS or whatever. And like, I appreciate major media platforms' existence. They have some value, right? Like they provide media to a level that needs to exist in this country, right? They provide like a safety net for certain people. They do have lawyers and certain things can be put through those channels. I don't think like the opinion portion of it can really exist on those as much anymore.
I would agree completely. And I think the other thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in my humble opinion, now more than ever in my lifetime, it is clear that many of those opinions, or at least the direction in which those outlets lean, is bought and paid for by the corporations which own those entities. I mean, you can literally see the shift in opinion writing and content what stories are covered, what stories are not covered. I mean, that was the biggest lesson for me to learn was going into the news. Like, it's not always about, like, nobody ever told me, like, Mike, we want you to say this. But what they would do is they would ask me my opinion on something or my thoughts on something as a commentator. And if I gave them an opinion they didn't like, they would just say, oh, yeah, we're going to pass. We won't. And so it was, selective choosing in what first stories got covered, but then also like what type of opinions or, perspectives they were going to entertain on their networks. And I think the American people now are waking up to the fact that, that the major networks are just, basically advertisers for their corporate owners.
Oh yeah. And you made a good point about what's not getting covered, because I think that's where we all provide a sort of filler that really is why I think all of us crave to do this. Like, there is so much that's just not covered by mainstream media. So many things happen. Like, I mean, what we know about ICE, and funny is brought up right now, what we know about ICE and every single murder that's been committed by ICE. I lived just 10 miles away from Delaney Hall. We weren't learning about that from major media. We would have no fucking clue. Not a single news outlet was telling us if there weren't actual boots on the ground, everyday people with their cell phones.
Yep.
So how do you balance this, Jesse? Because I know you also have a full-time job, you as well, Meg. How are you balancing your time to try to research these issues that aren't being talked about?
I think that's also where it's nice that there's two of us. We have different schedules. Meg has a 9 to 5 and I work in a restaurant, so usually I'm more nighttime. So we sort of can pick up what the other person maybe doesn't, which works for us. It is definitely, though, there are times when both of us are away or both of us are doing things and we're like, we've missed so many stories, we don't even know where to begin. But I think we do lean on each other a lot, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Does it almost have a life of its own now where you couldn't stop even if you wanted to?
Yes. And also, I'm trying to lean away from that a little bit. I think a few months ago, it really felt like I couldn't live outside of this. Like, no one's paying me to do this. Like, I'm allowed to go see my friends at night if I didn't, and I would feel so guilty if I didn't talk about something that happened or read about something that was happening. And now we're kind of trying to step back and have some composure with what we're talking about. Also, just because, like, some things, do I need to report on things that are mass talked about, or am I trying to talk about things that are just not getting covered? And it's hard to make that decision. There's a lot in authoritarianism. There's a lot of shit coming out of it.
Yeah, I think it's nice. We've also built like a sort of network where we're able to see, well, this person who has a similar audience as I do has talked about this in probably a similar way that I would have. I can either like build off of that, or I can let it be and do something else that hasn't been talked about.
I would love to know your take on, because it seems in you too, Mike, people like Don Lemon who have left traditional media. I love seeing them unleashed. People like Terry Moore. And these are all people who basically shared their opinion and got let go for sharing their opinion. And now they're almost in the same boat as you guys, where you've developed relationships with people, but don't necessarily have the resources behind you that they might. And they're trying to build an audience outside of their traditional networks. So what, Mike, knowing that you've witnessed this with other people, is there any learnings there that Jesse and Meg can kind of lean onto, or anybody who's hoping to kind of start from scratch building a platform?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't quit your day jobs. The second thing that I would tell you, Meg, you touched on this, like activist fatigue, like being in this space and talking about these issues, and then it's very easy for it to just completely consume you and become, everything that you do and everything that you talk about. Take a breather intentionally, often. I do. Like I shut it all off and shut it out pretty frequently, and I didn't for a while. The other thing is, like, and I'm glad you brought this up, Maya, because it's very difficult to make a living in the independent media space. Very difficult. You see the Don Lemons, who, and Don is a good friend of mine, but he left the corporate media world with a tremendous following and was able to bring that following. And Don has done it, I think, probably better than most, because he didn't just go to independent media and recreate corporate media in an independent space. Like, he does things that are new and refreshing. My favorite thing that he does is the Man About Town, where he's out on the street and just talking to people and interviewing them about, news of the day and stories and whatnot. And he brings on refreshing guests, people that would never be platformed in corporate media, like myself. What I have found is, like, the sponsorships and, things like that. It is very difficult because people don't want to put their money behind people that speak their mind freely. And so, that's problematic. That's something that's difficult. I hope over time, as corporate media becomes less profitable, if not profitable at all, and people have to kind of reinvent how they advertise, that they start investing in voices like yours. But as of right now, it's tough out here.
It is. It's tough. And, I don't think people, perhaps not the average consumer, does not understand that, which is difficult because there are some creators who do get paid a hefty amount. And I think Don's a great example of someone, like, again, left with this massive audience, left with everyone. And, like, people want to work with Don Lemon because he's Don Lemon. What am I providing anyone? Like, we have to pay for that. And, like, we don't have money to pay for it. Then you're just kind of like a cycle. And that's how so many independent creators don't end up feeling like that's not something they could take on. And
Meg, let me interrupt you real quick, because I want to correct you in something you just said. What do you offer? Like, you offer Meg and Jesse's perspective on all of these issues, which is incredibly refreshing to people, anyone.
Yeah.
And so, like, don't underestimate your contributions in this space. And I encourage anybody to, start your own fucking Substack, start your own YouTube channel.
Please start your own Substack.
Yeah, give your own, because there's, like you said earlier, we're in an authoritarian state in this, in our current government today. There are plenty of topics. We cannot cover them all. We couldn't even cover them all if we existed in a 24-hour environment. And so, and I wouldn't want to, because there are things that I don't know jack shit about. And if I talk about it, it's just me running my mouth. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. And so there's, different strokes for different folks. There's plenty of lanes out there to get involved, and shit, take the stress off of my back.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Maya.
No, I was saying, to piggyback off of that, this is the same conversation around funding independent candidates and people who aren't corporate Democrats. It's like we need to have that sort of grassroots sports support for journalists as well as people who are running for office. And a lot of times, I'm sure there are people who are watching right now who are maybe thinking of running for office, or maybe a friend said to them, you should run for office. And they're thinking, just like you just said, Meg, what do I have to offer? And same answer that Mike gave, which is your perspective, your opinion, your authenticity, the fact that you actually care, and that you've made it your side hustle, your side gig, to help other people care and teach them about why they care. And so to me, it's refreshing. And even though I hate that you can't make a living doing it right now, I love hearing that you're so passionate about it that you continue to do it anyway.
And I think it'll be okay eventually. I always go back to, like, historically, doing the right thing is not profitable, as we exist in the system of capitalism. And activism doesn't pay. That is what it is. It doesn't need to. That's not why it exists. But also, for people to be able to have the time and energy to do things, there either needs to be, one, funding, or two, more people doing things. And I guess to catch my own kind of fallacy in that, like I said, what do we offer? I really do think that everyone should be talking about things and start your own Substack, especially in the age of AI. Like, please throw your stupid, great, wonderful, who cares? Just throw shit on paper and put it out there because we need some human thought.
Yeah, and it's kind of a catch-22. It's like we'd love to be paid, but we're not, and so that's how you know we're legit. If we're making a ton of money, then maybe there would be cause for concern, but we mean what we say, obviously.
So we all know that today is probably going to be one of the biggest news nights since, I would say, January 6th, when we talk about levels of treason that are going to be out there. Are you planning on watching the speech, covering it live? What are your thoughts?
I'll watch it. I don't know how much I'll cover live, depending on how bad I feel like this is one of those things where you go in and you're kind of just like have a glass of wine and you're like gripping like your toes in your hands, hoping that he's not going to say something that is going to literally make you like throw up. And he will, because that's who he is. We'll see what happens. I mean, quite frankly, nothing that he can say is going to feel shocking to us. And that's something that I always try to remind myself is like, if he says that they're going to discontinue electronic voting or whatever the hell he's going to say about voting tonight, it's already going to be authoritarian. And that's what it shouldn't be shocking to us. So try not to like freak out right in the moment, but I surely will be drinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll be watching. I might wait till the morning to comment after I have time to digest. It's just shocking always feels like the wrong word, because every time we watch one of these, I'm like, I'm not really surprised, but it never feels less crazy as it continues to escalate. It's like, how could it keep getting worse? And I feel like we're all going crazy when there are people just walking around like nothing's happening.
That actually, to me, I was literally going to ask you that, because I find it's moments like these where I know I have friends who have no idea that he's even speaking tonight. And do you find it isolating at all that you are so plugged in and not everybody is?
We found plugged in people. We found people, but we definitely have non-plugged in people.
Yeah, we definitely have our group messages we can go off in, but there are definitely also people in real life where I'll be in a circumstance, and a lot of people I know in real life are pretty plugged in, but there will be something like, I bet a bunch of people don't know about the Mitch McConnell situation, and I'm like, how?
Or who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
The average person, and not even the average person, the average politically aware Democrat doesn't even know who Mike Johnson is. Like young people.
Or like the line of succession.
Yeah, no one knows anyone. I know so many people who are like very involved in like New York politics or know what's going on generally in the world. And I'm like, Mike Johnson, what a cuck, right? Like, he sucks. And they're like, who's Mike Johnson?
I'm like, be for real right now. What? Like,
show them a picture of the Keebler elf. You're like, this ring a bell?
Yes. The little man on the Keebler cracker package, that's him.
The one with a very shiny face, like in too tight skin. That one? Yeah.
Guy that enlisted his son to monitor his porn intake.
That's literally.
That is like so under talked about.
So there's so many things, you know, like JD Vance and his couch. We can't talk about JD Vance and his couch because there's 45 other things that happened today.
There's no amount that would make any of these things talked about enough, to be fair.
No.
What about you, Mike? Are you watching tonight?
I'm not going to watch tonight. I'll take the bullet points tomorrow. I'm not going to let it, first of all, my personal take is that we shouldn't be giving any oxygen to this guy anymore. And that goes for corporate media too. I think the best coverage that I've seen now from entities like MS Now, they will have it in a tiny screen, up here in the corner, his speech. They won't even have the audio, and they will just be kind of
summarizing
it as they go. And then if he says something particularly insane, they'll bring that up and show the clip. And I think that's the way that we should be interacting with Donald Trump's messaging, so to speak. But
totally
like,
agree.
guys, I mean, I've been tuned in for long enough now that nothing that he says surprises me. I always expect the worst. I never hope for the best. I just expect the worst. And I think, again, for those of us who've been in this lane for a reasonable amount of time, we know that he was going to try to fuck with the midterm elections because we all can see, and I think this is something that's easily digestible for the average American, is that these policies that he's been enacting since he took office are so unpopular. They're unconstitutional. They're inhumane. And the average American, it's not going to resonate with them because it's also making their lives more difficult. The Iranian war. My life, gas prices are up. Shit's more expensive. It's not doing anything for me. Even somebody who's not tuned in with foreign policy can look at that and say, this whole thing is a fucking disaster. And so, I think that he's going to do everything and anything he can to undermine the midterm elections. That's what this speech is going to be about. And it's up to us to set aside the panic and just start figuring out ways that we could overcome whatever obstacles he throws in our way to defeat him and, send him into the whatever ninth fucking ring of hell.
Yeah.
I realize now my problem is I'm just nosy. Like, I'm plugged in because I am just too damn curious, and I'm like, what is this motherfucker gonna say tonight? And I'm in a totally different time zone. I'm in Portugal, so I don't even know what time I'm gonna have to stay up to. But I hate missing anything, and so I am perpetually online to the point that I called it like I basically like microdosed everything at this point, so nothing really phases me because I take it all in as like data points. Like I'm like data point, data point, data point. How can I connect this to this thing that happened? Like how's he gonna say election fraud when they're all in office? Like they're all in. So our elections all of a sudden they got fixed when Biden was in office. He fixed everything so that you won legitimately. And so I will be watching because I'm nosy and I'm on vacation, guys. And that's a problem. It's a problem. I recognize it's a problem.
It's FOMO. It's like fascism FOMO.
Yeah.
Like you literally feel like you can't. I know.
Did you coin that term? That's great.
Just now, everyone.
Trademarking.
It's an addiction. It is. You are literally addicted to it because it's like, that there's just a constant state of unrest. And especially if you report the news, if you're intaking things, it's almost like a fight or flight. You have to know the extra additional information because if you don't, then you missed out on a piece that could be like building block to fighting back. That's kind of how I feel. Like if I don't know about something, I'm like, shit, I missed it. And what do I do? Like, what if I didn't know that and that was critical to moving forward?
Yeah, because it all builds off of each other.
It does. And as a part of that, Jesse, if I step away for even 3 days, like if I just unplug, which I can't even remember last time I did that, but if I just say, I'm not going to pay attention to the news for 2 days, 3 days, when I hop back in, I'm like, oh my God, what is going, like, I feel like it's like trying to get back on a treadmill that's going 30 miles an hour just to kind of try to catch up again and just be in the moment. It's almost like it feels like I'm an outsider in my own world.
And there's just so much going on all the time. I mean, like, I don't think many people know that the hearing is today or happened yesterday.
The Blanche hearing or
because who even know? Like, there's too much. There's too much going on. There's we have diarrhea lettuce. Canada's on fire. We're on fire. Spain's on fire. I mean, like, ISIS shot 2 people this week. It's absurd. You legitimately cannot keep up with the atrocities.
Yeah.
This is very true. All of a sudden things feel bleak and unhopeful. For a minute, we weren't talking about specific news items. Like we spent this first part of the show just kind of catching up with the mechanics of how to build out what you're doing. And now that we're actually talking about the news again, now I think I'm a little sad. I'm a little sad, guys.
It is so nice to forget sometimes. And then you get pulled back into it and it's like, how dare I forget?
I know.
I was like, Mom Donistan, someone tweeted, I shared something this morning and someone was like, we were having too good of a damn time in New York. We were enjoying New York. And then they said, no, that's enough. You guys, 5 different parasites. Now we have something in the air. We have something up in the Upper East Side. We have
Wait, what's in the air in New York? What's going on? What's in the air?
it starts with an L. I'm going to blank on it. Someone will know it.
Oh, Legionnaires. The Legionnaires.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a real disease, by the way. Like I have a friend who passed from that. Like that is a real thing.
It's in the Upper East Side right now. We have an outbreak every year. They care more this year because it's in the Upper East Side. So, but yeah,
where the rich people live. Everyone just
Mhm.
didn't know.
it was
Like
yeah.
Ghostbusters. That's where the penthouse was. I think was the Upper East Side. For anybody who recalls New York Ghostbusters accurately.
I'm like, yes, I know exactly where the fire station is, by the way. Like I know where that firehouse is for Ghostbusters. Yep.
Sorry, I save this zany part of me until it's just Mike and I and I'm riffing and I'm like, but you guys are so much fun that I feel like we can riff together. So is there anything that we're not asking you that you want to tell the people about your platform, where to find you?
You can find us mostly on Instagram and Substack. Those are our 2 biggest platforms. What else? I think that everyone's fucking pathetic for platforming Lindsey Graham. Michael, I was really enjoying your commentary before we got that. No, I was like, wait.
It was a Substack comment that I made that apparently went viral. Normally, I don't give a shit about things that go viral, but like, I was happy, like I was smiling all day long.
I saw your comment on it before I saw all of the Democrats like memorializing him. So luckily, I was already in like a good place to see that. I was like, at least some people are still sane.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember my first person that died that I was like, rest in piss. And it was Henry Kissinger. And I was like, I should go out and dance on his grave right now. And it's just not, I don't know why we're being cordial and respectful about people who killed millions of people. You know, like Lindsey Graham single-handedly, I know the videos are circulating now, but I'm like, I watch the news. I watch him say, bomb these people, blow up these people, blow up these entire cities. I don't think people like that deserve any sort of reprieve.
Also, from a strategic standpoint, if Democrats are trying to, like, establishment Democrats are trying to gain footing for the midterms rather than like Democratic Socialists or whoever else may be further left of them, why would that be their call? Like, they know that's going to be unpopular largely to be like, we don't take any of this seriously. This is just our colleague and we just happen to have some disagreements.
You don't have to say anything. You literally could not tweet. Go about your day. You were busy at the Senate. Like,
I mean, that was my message was, my mom, she didn't tell me if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. She said, if you can't say something honest, shut the fuck up. And
I like that version of Bambi. That's fun.
Yeah, it's just why? And again, I really, like I was saying at the beginning, I think it's about maintaining this kind of cloak of superiority with these politicians that they are, above, repute, and they are like, they're to be, admired, up on high by the rest of us. And it's like, dude, the only thing that you did was run for office and win votes.
And
that's
fuck
it.
it up.
Right. And then fuck it up and be
nothing.
A shitty human being. I mean, like, and good on like the independent journalists out there and media that were like playing, Lindsey's greatest hits with like, we leveled Hiroshima and we fucking leveled Berlin. We can level Gaza. And it's like, who does that resonate with other than psychopaths?
Demons.
Fucking psychopaths. Because what you're talking about is killing civilians. It's like Hiroshima was disgusting. It just was done by the United States. So I guess everybody's supposed to be, fucking fine with that.
It's amazing the atrocities we got away with for World War II because we fought Hitler
at the very end.
and the atrocities that we continue to get away with. And it's interesting to watch them whitewash and erase history in real time. Just in the lead up to knowing about the speech tonight, I went back to the White House January 6th page and read through the timeline of how they rewrote January 6th. And so it's on the official page. And so it makes it all the more important for us to ground people in reality and continue to say what's real, because it's very easy for somebody who has never paid attention to politics. Let's say they started to pay attention tonight, to get completely caught up in this big lie that Trump is telling. And so that's why we have to watch it. It's because I need to know which lie he's going to tell so that I can debunk it, which is why, by the way, pre-bunking, so much better than debunking, and you do not have to watch it to pre-bunk, because you can pretty much predict what he is going to say this evening. But yeah, the atrocities that we make apologies for, I think in many ways, some of these Democratic politicians who are making apologies for Lindsey Graham are doing so not just because they worked with him, so they know him, like, oh, we know the Lindsey you didn't know, like we did that, but also because they're trying to appeal, or at least not offend his voters, that they think somehow these voters might come over to their side, which is insane, because it's not going to happen.
They're just so good. I mean, and even, I like the Todd Blanche hearing is another great example of, like, if you step in and see something, you might think it's fine. Like, Todd Blanche was Donald Trump's personal criminal lawyer. Like, in New York, the people of New York versus Donald Trump, he was his criminal lawyer for 34 felony counts. And then he washed just months ago, or even less than that, told all these Epstein survivors that he was going to do his best. They were going to release all the files. They released absolutely nothing, left names unredacted, harmed victims. And then he's sitting here for a hearing. And who even remembers that? Like, there's so much, the benefit of authoritarianism is that there's just so much shit going on. You can't even keep track of people's lives.
Yeah, you have to be a professional keep tracker of things, and you still wouldn't be able to keep track of things, unfortunately, which is why it's everybody who's watching, we need everybody to do everything that we're doing. It'll be like a team. Everybody will divvy things up. I know what I want to talk about, so I'll stick to my lane and everybody else can stick to their lane, because there's stuff I don't want to talk about at all. Yet I do feel obliged to do so, because people are like, oh, well, why haven't you talked about this? So we all know we have work to do, but we've got this. Are you feeling hopeful, just in general, going into the midterms? I just want to wrap your segment up on a happy note.
I think free and fair elections considered, I would feel good, considering what we've been witnessing, like, with hopefuls around the country. I feel good about where the people are, largely, I guess. Tonight will be interesting. Go from there, I guess.
I think
I like feeling positive about where the people are. I think that's an incredibly good point, because the people are ready to get out and vote. I think the people who sat home last time, who said both sides are the same, I think a lot of those folks are like, oh, I guess. And you
can see it online, like, it's dwindling, the people who will go to bat for this administration. Yeah. Which, that gives the dwindling hate comments gives me hope.
People are bots, is that what you said, Meg?
Yeah, people are bots, or who's going to bat for them.
Yeah.
100%. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, welcome back anytime, especially moving closer to the midterms. Would be great to have y'all back.
Yeah.
And yes, deep breath, and make sure you take that break or that drink, whichever comes first.
Yeah, Maya, you enjoy watching. Michael, you enjoy not watching.
Yeah.
And I'll be envious of you for that.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Well, they were a breath of fresh air. I don't know why. I felt like they had an infectious energy that made me go, yeah, I would listen to your take on the news, and we need more like that.
I agree. And again, like my hats go off to anybody that's willing to get into this space. And I tell people all the time, just like I told Meg and Jesse, we need real world perspectives from regular Americans, people who are working a job and who are living in this economy and who have compassion and empathy for their neighbors. Those are the types of people that I want to hear from. I don't want to hear from, some like, again, overpaid teleprompter reader that, the moment that they get done with telling us, their version of reality, they're off to, the next black tie function, probably rubbing elbows with some of the same fucking scumbags that are, driving us into fascism.
Oh yeah, like the White House Correspondents' Dinner that's supposed to be rescheduled, I believe, but at the same time, Trump is sicking his folks after the New York Times journalists who reported on, I believe it was the airplane not being approved to fly, the bride plane that they couldn't return from Turkey on because supposedly it didn't have everything that it needed to have from a security perspective. And so they're trying to find the leakers.
I think, that's a great story. I'm glad that you brought that up. More people should be talking about it. I haven't seen any coverage or a lot of coverage on mainstream outlets, but what happened there was these reporters wrote about the Qatari gift jet that Donald Trump received. Apparently he requested and then was given, and they, in the middle of the night, literally in the middle of the night, some of them, FBI agents showed up at their homes and served them with subpoenas, which, is just like such an insane intimidation tactic that you would, to be honest with you, obviously shame on the administration, but shame on those agents for engaging in that type of behavior. I can tell you that is not something that ever took place ever. In my 20 years in law enforcement, working with every 3-letter federal agency that that exists in the law enforcement space. And so it just, purely done to intimidate these journalists. And, again, I wonder why, I guess I don't, because coming from the law enforcement space, I thought more law enforcement officers would, rush to my, to support me and what I had to say. But you don't see journalists supporting other journalists. And it's just crazy to me.
Well, and that's what I wonder. Are they texting each other privately saying, hey man, sorry for what you're going through. This is terrible, but obviously, I can't speak on it. It is, and everybody's sort of still clinging to their job and hoping that they can kind of weather the storm and still continue to work in media after the Trump administration. I'm trying to understand what's happening in the background.
Well, let me answer that question as somebody who watches the news. You will not be working in this space after the Trump administration because people like me and people like Maya will remember you. We will remember what you did in this perilous moment, for our democracy. And the fence sitters, they didn't fare well after World War II. They didn't. And so I would imagine that, you are, and this is, listen, information travels so much faster. Your cowardice is so much more readily apparent to all of us. You will not be forgotten. We will remember.
Yes, we're taking notes. That's what I did. That's why I'm watching all of this, all of these shows on C-SPAN, watching things at 2x speed, because I want to see each and everything that you did, and I'm taking notes, and we will hold you accountable. So I think we should enjoy the rest of our evenings because both of us are technically on vacation.
Right.
So we're going to do that, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. If you do choose to watch tonight, don't let Donald Trump hijack your amygdala. You deserve your peace, so build your peace ahead of time. Pre-bunk. Be prepared for what he may say so that it doesn't throw you off. And make sure to, follow our Substack and follow our socials. You can see them there at My
Please
On
do.
Stage.
And I'll say one more thing, Maya, to that. Don't panic. Don't waste your energy panicking. You know it's going to be bad. Be outraged and express it. Express it. Go comment on somebody's post. Go fucking do your own Substack. Start your own YouTube channel. Take
boxing. Take up boxing.
Take up boxing.
That's what I'm doing, as you know. So
nothing more than punching someone in the face.
You know what I mean? Love it. All right. So I was like, it's so hard spreading joy when I want to throw hands. That was my Netflix documentary reel. So yeah, I'm gonna go refill my cup with joy so that I don't have to throw hands.
Nice.
See y'all next week.
Adios.
Right.